In this tutorial, I want to look at RSS feeds and using Sense. I'm going to start with an internet block. Load the RSS feed from a URL. I'm going to collect the appropriate URL by initially going to the news website and clicking on the RSS link. Here is the RSS feed. I want the URL from the top, and I'll copy that, and now I'll paste that into this block, and I don't want the HTTP bit twice, so delete that, and that is my feed. Now I want to be able to display something from that feed. And we can look at the title of the RSS header. And we need to be able to watch that. In order to see it, we have to tell Sense to do something with it. So we need a variable. Make a variable name, PC technology feed. Okay, that appears there. So we want to set this variable to the title of the header, and now when I double click, we've got the title BBC News Technology appearing. We can change this to give a different aspect. That's this one we want to change here. So we can use the description. But remember, it's the header we're looking at. Double click. Seems to be the same. See if it'll give us a date. Yes, right, it's given us a date. Let us look next at the title of the first item in the RSS feed. So we can remove that one and place the title there instead. And there we've got the title, Fake Users Hurt Facebook Likes. We could change this number to look at the next item. So item 2, and again the title, Dig News Site Merges with Rival. If we right click on the icon here, we can get a scrollable readout, and let's look at the description. And there's the summary item. And the next item is O2 saying its services are fully restored. Next, I want to create a small program that will allow me to look at all the news feeds that come from my chosen site. So I'm going to start with a control block. When clicked, I could use a forever block. I want it to load the feed. Let's move that one out of the way. Now I want it to display each feed in turn, but I need to know how many feed items there are. That's the one I want. So that will give me the number of items in this feed. Now, I think we need a control block. Have repeater number. And can we place that in there? Right, so for the number of items in the feed, we will repeat the sequence. We want, we need a variable to go in here. So we need a counter. Make a variable. Feed index. Okay. We need to set feed index to 1. We want the description of feed index we need to increment feed index by 1. And let's just see what happens if we click. Because we're setting this to 1 each time within our loop. Okay, let's take that out. Take that out, put it back in the loop. That needs to be there, I think. Right. So the feed index is set to 1. It gets the RSS. For each RSS item, set technology feed to description of item feed index. change index by 1. Right, we've completed our loop, so let's click on the green flag and see what happens. And we can see the feed data changing. It seems to be running up to 35, but changing far too quickly. So we need to put a pause in to slow it down. So the next thing I want to do is to slow it down, and I want a wait block in the loop. I'll put this at the end of the loop. Wait. Let's have 5 seconds to read each item. And I think I'll move these two up. Because I don't want to be going back to this site each time. So just let's see if I can place this there. And so right. Let's see what happens when we run this now. Seconds, right. So it's collecting the news feed just the once, and then it will carry on looping through that. If I wanted this to update, it would be better to have another delay and an outer loop, so that perhaps every 15 minutes it will update the news feed and then loop through them again. Right, let us add a header for the news feed as well. So for that we need another variable. So it's the technology feed header. Okay. And let us place that on top of the, locate it there. And we want to set the technology feed header. And we want that set to the title. So we want this bit here duplicate. And this is going to be the title. And this is going to be feed header. Right, let's see if that works for us. Right, let's move that across so that we get it above the feed. So there we are. Every 5 seconds we get the title change and the feed details change. 5 seconds is a bit too long, so let's just stop that change it to 3, change it to 2, and we'll see it quickly working. So there we see it looping through the newsfeed, displaying each in turn. Next, I want to explore another internet function that's available in Sense, and that's its ability to contact a specific server using set feed. So behind the scenes, this block has the URL of an OU server, and it will send 3 data items to that server. That server is then going to take those 3 data items and use them to create a news feed. So we need to name the feed, and we want to make it individual to ourselves. So I'll use my initials there to include, and this is going to be the title for this particular item, test tutorial, and the content is going to be testing communicating with a server. Now we need to double click on this to execute it, and we need our username and password. Okay, so that's Sense logged into the server, and we haven't much to see there. What we need is a web browser. And there is the XML version from the TU100 RSS server there, PJT from the server description, and here we have the title of our feed item, test tutorial, testing communicating with a server. Now this server is set up so that if we replace the RSS with HTML, it will display an HTML version of the same information. If we use the same title, test tutorial, and put a different message, and double click and refresh, refresh yet. Change message, right. It's taken a little bit to respond, so it's not an immediate response there. Now I'm going back to our original project to get the news feed from the BBC technology site and see if we can upload that to our own news feed by sending this to the OU server. So let's start with just the title. So that's the block that we want, and we're using PJT as the news feed. And we want a title and the description of each feed. So perhaps we can do both at the same time. So let's collect the item and then send it to the server. So that should send title and description to the server. We want the title to be this one. So we will duplicate that one. And put that one back there. And we want a description, which is that one. So we'll duplicate that one. I think we need to move this to get a bit more space. Right. Yeah, that's clicked in. So when we run this, we're going to collect the current list of news feeds from the technology website, find out how many items there are. We're going to display them here on our own screen, but we're also going to try and send them to the OU server to create our own news feed using these items. So let's see what happens if we run. It's taking 2 seconds for each one. That might be time for the server to update. We might need to slow it down a bit. So let's get our web page back and refresh it. And already we've got the list that we're running through. We're up to number 18, 19. Maybe we should have a number on them. There's the extra ones coming through. So we've copied the text from one newsfeed that we're receiving. We've sent it as a message to the OU server. The OU server has used that information to generate another newsfeed. Let's stop that for the moment. Let's see if we can modify the text on this. Right, we've got an appended with in the text string. So can we type directly in there? No, it needs to be a variable, does it? Peter's news feed latest. And let's insert that so that we take the title information, getting that to go into the right box isn't always easy because you can't see what's going on. What happens if I click there? I go in. Doesn't want to. Alright, let's see if we take that out. Take that out. Here we are, that's gone in there. See if we can get that to go in there now. Yes. Right. Put that back in place in the loop. Add those back in their place in the loop. Right. Run that again. Now we're running through the feed, so we should be overwriting the existing feeds. So let's go back to our web page and refresh. Have we got anything overwriting? Here we are at the bottom. It's a new title because we've added Peter's newsfeed latest to it, so it's not overwriting what we had before because we've changed the text. So we've now got our own part of text in the header plus the text that comes from the BBC. So there's our own text, there's from the BBC. Right.